A potential game-changing decision has been handed down by the courts. According to The Hill, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals recently struck down state legislative district boundaries drawn up by the Republicans, by the GOP in Wisconsin, over 5 years ago. Now, the ruling said that the lines violated Democratic voters' constitutional rights. Interesting. So here we have actually a little bit of good news, right? Now, first, I do have to note that the ruling does not apply to the state's congressional district. So not as good news as we thought, but still good news. And I'm going to explain why. See, this ruling is consequential because of the justification for overturning these district lines. This is the first time that they've actually used partisan, partisan justifications for overturning state lines instead of race. So this is different. This is unprecedented. So the court found that Republicans intentionally discriminated against voters of a certain party rather than voters of a certain race. Again, super monumental. Writing for the 2-1 majority, Judge Kenneth Ripple, which, by the way, Ripple is a Ronald Reagan appointee. Now, he said that the 2011 a law that resulted in the present lines was, quote, intended to burden the representational rights of Democratic voters throughout the decennial period by impeding their ability to translate their votes into legislative seats. Now, again, this guy, Ronald Reagan appointee, he seems, I'm assuming, he's kind of conservative. And even this guy looks at these lines and says, no, this was clearly set up to benefit one party over the other, and it happens to have been my party, and I'm still calling bullshit. Because, hey, I don't like that. That's not democratic. That's not representational. Great. Somebody with principles. And look, at this time, we need all the principled people we can get. Conservative, liberal, let's all get together. Let's fight gerrymandering. Because it doesn't just affect liberals. Like right now, since 2010, it has been in favor of Republicans. But if you think the Democrats haven't gerrymandered a fucking district in order to get an advantage, then you're fucking high. Of course they have. It's a tool that they can both use to retain power. That's what politicians do. Their number one goal is to retain their fucking seat. So we need to stop that, and we need to end these fucked up congressional districts, and allow independent third parties to draw up these districts that are nonpartisan.
Yeah, I mean, gerrymandering, just like the Electoral College, I mean, it's something that hurts the process, that should be done away with, that is dated at best, and all of the arguments in favor of it are very, very small in comparison to the gains we would have from getting rid of it.
Yeah. Now, in the majority opinion, I want to read some of this to you. Ripple concluded that Wisconsin's gerrymander violated voters' rights to freedom of association and equal protection under the First and 14th Amendments. So that's their justification. The Constitution prohibits a redistricting scheme, Ripple wrote, when it is intended to impede the effectiveness of a citizen's vote based on her political affiliation, does in practice dilute that vote and cannot be justified on other legitimate grounds. So this is a very strong ruling, and this is a very plain ruling, saying that no, this was discriminatory based on this and this constitutional amendment. That's why I'm going to overturn this. That's why you can't do this. Now, if only the Supreme Court had those kind of balls. I mean, look, they haven't decided on this, right? On what exactly constitutes an unconstitutional gerrymandering, right? They didn't have a standard before. Now, thanks to this ruling, they do have a standard. Now, they had a chance to rule on this before, back in 2004. It was a case called Vieth versus Jubileerer. I'm sorry, I butchered that. In Vieth, 5 justices agreed that partisan gerrymanders are likely unconstitutional. However, Justice Kennedy refused to strike down gerrymandering Kennedy wrote that extreme gerrymanders may unconstitutionally burden the representational rights of voters, but that there was not any, quote, manageable standard by which to assess whether a gerrymander would run afoul of the Constitution. Well, now, Kennedy, here's your fucking standard. Do your job. Now, unfortunately, even if he did agree, I doubt that they're actually going to do their job, since we now have a 4-4 Supreme Court that's deadlocked and an incoming, most likely Trump appointee. So here we go. It is good news, but it's also not good news because I don't think we're going to do anything about it on a national level, at least not at this point. And look, Donald Trump gets in, appoints a conservative justice that isn't like this other guy. Like along the lines of Antonin Scalia, we're going to see voting rights go further back. And already we've seen the dismantling, the gutting of the VRA. And so we know that what they're doing is wrong. It's just the point of our politicians and our justices actually having the nuts to do something about it. I don't think they do.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.